Hi everybody, Lisa over at I Repair Our Devices, and today on my workbench I am hoping to be able to finally finish repairing this transmitter slash counter. Now, this unit was sent down to me from a gun club up in Michigan. They special in clay target machine shooting, type shooting, and I've been repairing these transmitter slash counters for the past 4 years now, and this one had me baffled here. It was held back from the last batch, and I think I finally was able to figure out what the problem was. I contacted the company that made these units, and I explained to him the problem I was having and asked them to send me out one of their another programmable chip. And he was asking me, well, why do you think it's a chip? And I says, well, the problem with the unit, I told him, I says it turns on, it functions correctly, it launches trap 1, trap 2, pairs, you can go through the menu option, but I says it is not turning off. I says I did every test possible, I looked at the on and off switch, I ran the traces from the chip, from the buttons back to the chip, I'm getting continuity, I'm getting voltage, and I'm comparing this to a known good handheld I had on hand here. And I told him, I said, and I then, because I was getting good readings from the buttons to the chip, I decided to scope the chip. So I hooked my oscilloscope up to the chip, and I was probing all the pins that he had assigned on the board here. And I says, pin 6 is what I noticed a difference with the known good chip. And I says it's staying in the on position. It's a NAND gate inside there, and I says the logic is failing. It's not closing when it should be. So I asked for a chip to be sent out to me, and he didn't agree with me. He's like, nope, it's not the chip. It has nothing to do with the chip. Look at the board. It's going to be either a component, as in a capacitor or a diode, or look at the relays. And I'm thinking like, dude, I went through all this. I scoped everything out. But again, he's the developer. He knows his board here. He's the one who created everything. But I did everything possible. And he says, well, if you can't get it to work, send it to us and we'll take a look at it. And I says, well, I just can't go ahead and do that. I have to get permission from the gun club if they want me to go ahead and forward it to you. But I knew in my mind I wasn't going to. So since he was not going to send me out a chip, I took things in my own hands, and I decided to look up this chip model online. I looked at the specs and decided to see if, why not? Let's take a chance here and see if I can reprogram the chip or get a new chip and copy a program over to it. Now, I had to make sure let's rewind here. I took a known good chip from the current, a good handheld unit, a good unit I had on hand here. And first I had to see if it was password protected, because if it was password protected, I would not be able to read the data from there, nor would I be able to save it. So the first step was to look at the chip, and I was able to read the chip. Now, when I say read, I'm not able to look at the physical program itself. Everything's in hexadecimal format, but I was getting information on the screen. So I knew at that point I was good to go with my next step. The next step was to order up a chip. I ordered up 2 chips. Now, these are PIC 16 chips, and ordered up 2 of them. I always order chips in pairs just due to the fact of possibly getting a defect. So both chips came in the mail today. So my next step, and I'm hoping this works, and I'm 99% very confident that it will. What I'm going to do is take the new chip that's right here, and I'm going to program it or format it in the programmer, and then I'm going to write the data to it, and then I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to put it back in the machine here, or in the unit here, and see if that resolves the problem. Now, if I go through all these steps and the unit still does not turn off, then by all means I will take this board back to the bench and dissect it further to find out what is going on. But I did every possible test, and I'm very confident that this is the troubled area. So I want to show you the unit that is giving me issues right now, or the one that's the problem one. And I want to show you how it's what it's doing. Now, if you look at this board down here, you're probably asking what this, what this setup is. Now, because I repair their transmitter slash counters, I needed a way to be able to test these units before I went ahead and released them back to them. So since I don't have a clay target machine on site, nor do I wish to have one, I was able to legally obtain a schematic for the models that they have in their fields, and I built this board to replicate an actual machine. So how it works is, out in the fields, they run the machines off a 12-volt deep cycle battery. So I have 12 volts feeding into the board here, and each station is set up to where we got a podium. The shooter walks up, plugs in the handheld to the podium, and you have two cords running out to the machines. Each station has two machines. So one's going to go off to the left, and one cord's going to go off to the right. Now, when they plug their units in here, we should see, let me get the battery in here. These run off of 9-volt batteries, okay? So we got the unit turned on. All right, let's get the chip in. All right. Oh, we got to get the battery in here. Let's see. Okay. So I have the unit turned on, and it says off, off and off. So what I need to do is to activate the machines out in the field. So this tells the shooter that the machines are loaded and ready to go. So see how it turns to okay and okay. So now it means that the machines are live and ready to go. So when I hit trap 1, the left light's going to go out, and actually the machine would launch a trap from the left side. Hit trap 2, this light's going to go off again. The machine on the right's going to launch a target, and when I hit pair, both lights will go off. So here we go, left, right, and then both. All right, so everything works fine on here, but now watch when I go to try to turn it off. It's not turning off. All right, this is the problem. And it's not the button. I did everything possible. I looked at the button, looked at all the traces. In order to turn it off, you have to unplug the battery. So the next step, and two, I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier, how I also determined that it was a faulty chip after doing the voltage readings, continuity tests, resistance, and putting on the scope. I took a known good chip, inserted it in the same unit here, and it was able to turn on and off. Then I took that bad chip and put it in the unit where I took the good chip from, and then that unit became unworkable. So right there, I had 2 backups of confirming the problem. But again, the guy at the company did not want to listen to me, so I decided to take matters in my own hands. Now, worst case, it's not going to work. So the step I'm at right now is, let me move my camera up here, is I'm going to, let's unplug it from the power supply, or from the board here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the chip. All right. Here's the new chip that I'm going to put in the programmer and copy the data from, and then I'm going to insert it in here and see if this resolves the issue. So let's pop this guy out. You got to be very careful popping these out, because these are not soldered onto the board. These actually sit in a socket. So just got to be. And he has the right side almost butted up against the end there, and it's hard to get stuff on the side there. So the bad chip is out. Set that to the side. So here's the good chip, and I know you won't be able to see the program, but here's the laptop that we're going to use. Alright, let's get this guy turned on. I know there's going to be some glare. You won't be able to see much, but at least you'll be able to see the programmer. So I'm going to make sure I have it in the right way. So this little indentation up at the top here indicates pin 1, so I got to make sure it's in the upper left hand corner of the reader here. Alright, lock it in place. Now I'm going to first read the chip, make sure there's nothing on there. Alright. Nothing was read, so now I'm going to format the chip, and you'll see the lights down here indicating that it is doing something. Alright, chip is being formatted. I know it's hard to see on here because of the glare. So the chip is formatted. Now I have to copy 3 files over to the chip. I have to copy over the code file, the data file, and then the configuration file. So there's 3 different bin files I have to copy over. So let's do the first copy. We're gonna write the first one. We're gonna write the code file. So let's get there. We've got the light going. All right, that is done. Now let's get the data file read over. All right, again, we got the program. It goes pretty quick. And the last, we're going to get the configuration file sent over. All right, let's hit write. Okay, now I want to check to make sure that I'm going to read the chip to make sure everything was transferred over. Now when I read the chip, I'm not actually reading information other than hexadecimal information. If a chip was, if nothing copied over, all the fields would be either FFF or 000. So I'm actually seeing information on here. I am seeing 0000185, 0185, 186, 1683. So definitely there are, I'm sorry, not are, but there is definitely information that was programmed to the chip. So now I'm going to carefully remove the chip from the reader here for my programmer. And all right, here it is. So now we're going to plug it into the socket here. Again, lining up pin 1 where it should go, which is going to be on the lower left hand side here. So I want you to see what I'm doing. So put in the chip. You have to be careful lining these pins up into the socket. You don't want to rush it because you definitely can break these pins. Alright, everything is pushed down. Moment of truth. Now, did this resolve the issue? So let's get the camera back down here so you can see everything. Let me shut my laptop. We're done with that. So let's get the battery plugged in. Alright, so we're going to turn it on. Alright, everything is off, so now I'm going to activate the field, or I'm sorry, plug it in and then activate the machines as if we're going to go live. Okay, off, so let's turn the machines on, so it should say okay, okay. Alright, let's test out trap 1. Oh, let's get so you can see. Oh, so you can see both lights go off. There we go. Trap 1. Alright, there goes the left machine. Trap 2, there goes the right. Now when I hit pair, both should go off. Now I should be able to go through the menu function. I can see, we can set it to trap release. We could set it to delays, following, reports. So the menu functions are working correctly. So now the real test is it going to turn off? So let's see. Was I correct? Well, look at that. I was. On, off, on, off. Bella. Shh. Well, isn't that awesome? I feel pretty good. Let me turn this off, turn this off. The reason why I feel pretty good about this is because knowing I went through every possible diagnosis, I tested everything, troubleshooted, I hooked up to the scope, I even brought in a good known working chip, and explaining this to the owner who developed this, and he was still telling me it's not the chip, and the chip has nothing to do with controlling the on and off. I felt like I had to try this. Bella, because of... Come here. Come here. That's my dog, Bella. I had to try this because I knew it was the chip, knowing that I ran through every possible step and conclusion. So when the chip came in, it was like, oh man, I hope this works. Now, if it didn't work, fine. I would be first to admit to it and then gone deeper into troubleshooting. I would have gone deeper into the logic board troubleshooting, but I already felt I did all that, and it had to be the chip. 99.9999%, it had to be the chip. So I feel damn good about being able to resolve this. The gun club's going to be happy to get another handheld unit back in the field for them. So yeah, it wasn't much of a repair, but I do hope you learned something from this. If someone says if something's not repairable, still try it. I mean, until you feel like you exceeded, or you went through every possible diagnosis test you did. Don't give up until you feel you exhausted every option. And like I felt I didn't until I actually did the chip itself. Now, if for some reason his chip was password protected and I wouldn't be able to get the information from there, then yes, I would have had to send the unit into them, or maybe he would have sent me a chip if he would have worked with me a little bit better. But I just felt I had to go this route to prove that it was the chip, not, I mean, when he was saying it had nothing to do with the on and off, I'm like, it's running everything, so it has to do with turning on and off and controlling, controlling the buttons and counting. So anyways, to get back to the end here, I do hope you learned something. If you haven't, please subscribe, share, and like my video. Until next time, have a good one.